All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Transitioning from Grammarly to Copilot. Here are all the use cases and more. My name is Michael Kratansky and I'm going to be your instructor for today's session. Just a couple of items before we get things underway here. First off, you'll notice that both your camera and microphone are disabled for our session today. That's just to eliminate any background noise or distractions as we're going through. If you do have questions, though, I do ask that you enter them into the Q&A. You can access that in the upper right-hand corner of our event. There's an icon, looks like two conversation bubbles with a question mark inside of it. That should open up the Q&A pane, and you can enter your questions in there. If you are not seeing that icon, you can access it from the toolbar at the top. There's a More button there. You should see the Q&A there as well. So any questions can be entered in there, and I'll answer as many as I can as we're going through the class today. Before the end of the class, I will also be posting a feedback survey link. So if you wouldn't mind filling that out, I'll post that near the end of the class, and I'll remind everybody when we get near the end. All right, let's take a look at what we're going to cover in our class today. We're going to talk about the current state of Grammarly, understanding Copilot's capabilities, and then understand how to use Copilot to perform tasks that are formally done with Grammarly. Now, the purpose of today's session is to understand that there is going to be a transition from Grammarly to Copilot, and it's designed to ensure that everybody is working on the same platform. So Grammarly licenses are not going to be renewed going forward. So this class is going to show you how to use Copilot to do the things that you formerly did with Grammarly. Now, Copilot can do what Grammarly does, but it also does much more, and it's integrated with Microsoft 365 applications and also offers Microsoft security when you're working with files. Copilot is available as the Copilot chat inside of Microsoft 365, so that's one way that you can interact with Copilot. This is from the Microsoft 365 homepage by going to office.com, and that should redirect you to the new URL, which they've just created, called m365.cloud.com. Either one of those will direct you to this chat area here as the landing page, and this is Copilot, where you can interact and ask questions about anything within inside of Microsoft 365. It's also available in the side panels of many of the desktop applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and OneNote. So for example, if I've got Word open here, I can open up the Copilot pane here on the right-hand side and ask questions about my document, and we'll talk about some of the inline tools that are available as you're going through. So not only, we're going to mostly work with it in Word today and through the chat app, but in addition to those two applications, it's also available in Edge and in Excel and PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and OneNote as well, where you can work directly or it can work directly with the files in your OneDrive as well. So let's talk first about the current state of Grammarly. Grammarly is currently being used as a writing helper, and some of the most common uses of Grammarly are grammar and spelling, so automatically corrects typos and grammar mistakes. It underlines errors in real time with suggested fixes. For tone and clarity, it'll adjust sentences. For consciousness or simplicity, helps with rephrasing awkward or wordy sentences, and it helps with plagiarism. It'll compare text against online sources to flag similarities, and commonly it's used in academic settings to identify copied content. Now, those are things that you're currently more than likely using in Grammarly, but you can also do a lot of these things already in Copilot and even in Word without Copilot in many cases. So some of the strengths. One of the advantages of Copilot is that you can request specific information or give it specific instructions related to your goal. Let me give you an example here. I'm going to switch over to my desktop for just a moment. I've got this document open here called The Ethics of Artificial Intelligence. It's just a file that I have open here. And I'm going to ask Copilot to summarize this document for me. So I'm going to come over here into the Copilot pane, which remember I can access from the Home tab up here at the top by clicking on the Copilot button. And in the prompt window down here at the bottom, I can put in my request. I'm going to ask it to summarize the key points of this document in a bulleted list of 5 items. I'm going to submit my request. It's going to analyze this entire document, and it should give me a bullet list of 5 items that are key points from the document. And here we go. Program overview, theoretical foundations, applied analysis, proactive engagement, and key topics and themes. So it's kind of broken it down to give me a little short summary of each one of those sections that it talked about here. So some of the things that go along with that are institutional control and compliance. Copilot is built into Microsoft 365. Therefore, it meets security, privacy, and compliance standards. All the data stays in the tenant versus Grammarly, which has external servers. Everything with Copilot stays inside the Microsoft 365 tenant. There's also integration with Microsoft 365. Copilot works directly in the Microsoft applications of Word, Excel, Teams, PowerPoint, all the applications that we already talked about. It also integrates with Microsoft Edge to let you work within web pages, get information, analyze, summarize, do analysis of parts of web pages. So there's no need to upload documents, copy and paste your text, or download Copilot as an extension. Also, too, if you're working with Copilot Chat, the web page version, you may need to upload your files, but they are saved in your OneDrive folder. They're not being saved in Grammarly's external servers. Also, Copilot offers grammar and tone suggestions. Word itself has a highly customizable built-in spelling and grammar check. In addition to this, Copilot offers inline editing just like Grammarly. So let me go ahead and open up back onto my desktop here. And I want to point out in the margin here, so in the margin here on the left-hand side of my document, you'll see this little icon. It looks like a pencil with stars on it. This here, if I were to click on this, and we're actually going to go through some of these things later on, you can see there's things that are built in here, what I want Copilot to do with this text, or if I want to keep writing, or if I want to restructure it, or if I want to insert a summary, or I can select text. So for example, if I select a paragraph here and I click on that button, there's things that I can do. I can have it rewrite it in a different way for me, or I can ask for writing suggestions, or I can take the information here and convert it into a table for me. So there's lots of different things that we're going to go over today as examples of ways that you can use Copilot, and the things that you can see are as an advantage on top of the things that Grammarly can do for you right now. Copilot can also go further with reframing, summarizing, expanding the text just beyond helping you with corrections. So I'm going to open up a brand new document here because we can also use Copilot to help us create new content from scratch. And you'll see when I create a new document, and all I did was hit Control-N on my keyboard, you can also go to File, New. That's another way you can create a blank document here. And in this area here where it says, what do you want Copilot to draft, I'm going to put in here, our team is finishing a project late because data is not collect. And I know that sounds stupid for me to say that, but I'm going to put that in here into the text of the document. And I'm going to ask Copilot to rewrite this for me because that doesn't make any sense. I'm just kind of just throwing stuff on the page here. If I click on the little inline editing tool here, I can click on Auto Rewrite, and it will rewrite this for me in a different way. So notice here it's saying our team is experiencing delays in completing the project due to incomplete data collection. It also gave me another version, so I can toggle here. Here's the second version. Our team is behind on the project due to missing data. So it's fixed automatically the way that I've written that and given me alternate solutions. And I can either replace replace the response with what it's given, or I can click on Insert Below and take the text, the new text that I created, and put it directly underneath it here. I can write this in a different way too. If I don't like the way that it created, I can ask it to change it a little bit. I can say, rewrite this for clarity and professionalism. and it'll give me another version of this. Now you can see I have 3 versions of this file, and I can toggle through and find the one that works best for me. I like this last one, so if I click on replace here, it's now replaced the text in here that I originally had with the new text here. So Copilot's doing these extra things for me. Now, not only can I do it here, but I can also do it in the Copilot pane here on the right-hand side. So I could put that same prompt over here in the right-hand side and not have it in the document itself. So the thing that I want to rewrite here is, let me do that one more time. I'm going to put that same text over here. Our team are finishing projects late because data is not collect. I can, underneath that, ask Copilot to rewrite that for clarity and professionalism afterwards. And I'm putting this in quotes. And I should get a response back. Say, here's a revised version of your sentence for clarity and professionalism. Our team is experiencing delays in completing the project due to incomplete data collection. So there's different ways that I can use Copilot. I can use it in line over here inside of the document, or I can do it here in the Copilot pane on the right-hand side, copy the result that it gives me and paste it into the document. There's a couple different ways that I can go ahead and do that. Notice here underneath it, it does giving me suggestions, alternate suggestions as well. I can refine this further or ask follow-up questions, or I can use some of these built-in here suggestions as well. Now, we're going to discuss some of these other options a little bit more in a little bit more detail here shortly. There are some limitations that to keep in mind when we're going through this. Plagiarism detection is not as formalized as it is in Grammarly, and some of the response may varies. If you're following along with me, you may get different responses depending on how your prompt is worded and what access your system has to content within your Microsoft 365 environment. So let's do some use cases here so we get an idea of how things are different and how they are similar in some cases inside of Copilot. So the first thing we're going to talk about is grammar and spell checking. So I'm going to close this blank Word document that we had open here. And I've got a document here that I'm going to go through and kind of talk about some of the things that we can do with grammar and spell checking here. Now, Microsoft Word has a built-in editor. You'll notice that if I go to the Home tab here at the top, all the way to the end, there's this Copilot button, which is, for many of you new, and this is kind of the AI portion of that's built into Microsoft 365. But just to the left of it, there's this editor button here. If I click on the editor button, it opens up a pane here on the right-hand side. And this actually uses Copilot to check a number of things. It checks for the percentage score at the top to tell you how much of it has been checked and fixed or ignored. And this can change. This is the editor score up here at the top. This can change. This can change depending on what's been corrected or changed within the document itself. You can change the form of writing that's being used. Notice right now it's saying that it's formal writing, but from the drop down here I can change the different writing styles, whether it's formal or professional or casual. So for example, if I click on the different one here, if I click on professional, it's going to rescore everything again to see what the things are that are wrong. So you can see here it's finding some spelling errors, and I can cycle through and see all of these spelling errors here. Now, I also get any misspellings in here. I get these little red squiggles here. This kind of shows that a word that it believes is misspelled. It may be because it's a proper noun that it doesn't understand. You'll also see in some cases I get this double underline here. That's a grammar mistake, so it's telling me it's better to have no comma between these phrases. And with these, I can make the changes right from here. So notice I get this here where it's telling me to consider changing it. So it's telling me I don't have to have a comma here, and if I were to click on this, it'll automatically go in there and make that change for me. Or if I want to ignore it, like in this case, it's giving me different ways that I can rewrite this. I can select any of these. If not, I can just ignore it. And if it's something that's used throughout the presentation, I can change, or throughout the document itself, rather, I can click on Ignore All, and it'll ignore it throughout the entire document. The other thing that I can do is I can add content to the dictionary. So if it's a word that it didn't originally recognize, and I've confirmed that everything is correct in here, maybe it's a certain highly technical term or something that isn't already in the library, you can add things to the library so that going forward in future interactions where you're using that particular word, it won't show up as a misspelled word if you've spelled it correctly. And all of those tools are here on the right-hand side. Now, if I close this X here, it should take me back to the editor and show me all of the other things that are available in here. I can go just into the spelling options here under corrections. I can go under just the grammar section here. So if I click on grammar, it's going to go through and just find all the grammar things. Instead of combining the spelling and the grammar together, I can separate them out separately and just focus on the grammar parts that I want to fix. I can toggle through all the grammar corrections up here at the top and cycle through and which ones that it's finding mistakes. This is in a foreign language, so it's seeing that as a mistake because it's trying to do it in English. I can tell which language is being used because if I click on the X here and go back to the editor, you can see this is using English as the editor as far as the refinements here for the clarity. There are different refinements and different types, and you can click any one of them to see its suggestions. You can also see, of course, like I'm seeing here, what language is being used. Either FR or EN or whatever other language you may be using would be here. From here you can also check similarity to online sources. So these are some of the refinements that you can see here. If I go a little bit further down, here's that similarity section. So this is where it can go online and it'll check to see if there's any plagiarism from online sources. It may take a while it's scanning, but you can see here it's saying 3% of your text is similar to online sources. So let me check on that again. Click on. I think I might have clicked off of it while I was scanning here. But yeah, it's finding that 3% is similar to online sources. Now, if I go a little bit further down here, we have this Insights section, and this Insights section here will show statistics about your document. So if I click on that, this is telling me how many words it is, how many characters, and that's just because of what I've selected here. Now, I think that it's doing a similarity because I just selected that text, but let me close out of this and not select anything. Now, if I redo this again, it should check the entire document now instead of just that one selected area. So if I select just a part of the document and I go into the editor, it's just going to check that one thing there. Let me click on document stats again here. It's going to calculate this. Now this could take a few moments. If you just want to get insights on a particular part of the document, you can select that part of the document and then click on insights. Because I wanted the entire document, I didn't select anything, or I can hit Control A to select everything. And now I get how many words are in here, how many characters, how many paragraphs, sentences, averages, how many sentences are per paragraph, how many words are per sentence. So all of those things are in here. Notice I even get a readability section in here. So this is giving me information on the Flesch reading ease scale, the Flesch Kincaid grade level, and the passive, how many passive sentences are in here. So that's some good readability statistics if you're looking for a particular audience or if you're trying to make it for a certain grade level. You can go in and adjust your text based on that those results that you get there. So as you can see, this can be useful for checking spelling and languages or dialects that are maybe not in here. You can, for example, I can open up the Copilot pane here again on the right-hand side, and I can ask Copilot, let's say here in, let me go into part of the document here. And I'm going to select this text here. Now this is in French, and I'm going to ask Copilot to check the spelling of the selected text and let it know that it's in Old French. So I'm going to put that in the Copilot pane here in the right-hand side. I'm going to say check the spelling of the selected text. I selected it here on the left-hand side. I'm letting it know that it's in Old French, and I'm going to submit that here. And this is working on a response for me. The selected text here in Old French appears to be correctly spelled. Here's the text. So if there's anything that was incorrect, it would rewrite it here or give it to me and show me what it means. Notice here it gives me some other suggestions as well. So you see down here at the bottom, translate this Old English text or Old French text into English. Now it's not going to change it here, but because I'm doing it in the pane here on the right-hand side, it will convert it into English for me. So this is the text in English. And you can see that it's right underneath here. The translation's directly underneath it. So a lot of flexibility with Copilot here. Not only is it checking spelling and grammar for me, but I can do it like translations and summaries and things like that. Copilot in Word can also offer suggestions as to the tone and style of your writing. So I'm going to go to the beginning of my document here. And I'm going to ask Copilot to do something for me. But instead of asking it over here in the pane on the right-hand side, I'm going to use the inline tool here on the left-hand side. And notice it gives me some kind of pre-built options in here. We'll talk about some of these in just a moment. The first one I want to talk about is this one here, structure and refine. I'm going to click in here, and it's going to go ahead and go through this and rewrite it in a different way. It may change the layout or the structure of the way things are. Notice it adds it at the end of the document. So it scanned the entire document, and it's rewriting this now in a different way. Now, when it's done writing this was originally a 14-page document, but now, of course, it's adding more pages in here because it's rewriting this and restructuring this in a different way. When I get to the bottom here, it gives me some different options that are available. Notice that this is all highlighted here. This is all of the new rewritten and restructured content that Copilot has done based on the original content up here at the beginning. Now, if I want to keep this, I can click on the Keep It button here, and what it'll do, it'll insert this this restyled and restructuring and refining of this directly underneath the original. So the original's here at the top, and the new text would be underneath it, and that's what this Keep It does. If I select Replace here, Replace will take this text and replace the existing text above it, which is not what we want to do in this case. I do want to try another version of this. So you'll notice just to the right of the replace option, there is this regenerate option here. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to do this whole thing again. It's going to regenerate this entire restructure and refining of the content again. And once that's done here, it gives me now, notice I've got 2 of 2. And I can toggle through these and find out which one I like better. And at that point, if I want to keep it, I can click on the Keep It, which means it'll take this new text and put it directly underneath it. Or I can replace it where it'll take the original text and replace it with this new text. Of course, I do have the little trash bin here, which allows me to get rid of or discard the content that it created. But notice to the right here, there is this kind of free-form box here where I can put in a way to change the way that it's written. Let's say that I want to make it more formal. So I can come in here and put in here to make it more formal. And it's going to rewrite it again. And now notice up here at the top when this is all done, when it's all done here, now I have 3 versions of this. So I can toggle through these and find the one that I want the best. I can keep, asking it to update here and do different things that I'd like it to be. Again, I can choose to replace it or to keep it. If you don't like any of the options, you can, again, regenerate it again. I believe there is a limit of, I want to say it is 20 regenerations that you can do here. I believe after that it times out and it won't do another one. But again, that's quite a bit of options for you to choose from when you're toggling through. And if I, just decide I want to get rid of this, I can click on the trash bin here, and that will just get rid of everything that it had created there for me. And I can start over again if I'd like. So I can go in here and make changes and rewrite things. So for example, let's say that this introduction paragraph that I have at the beginning here, I want to rewrite this. So I can select this text here, and if the inline tool here on the left-hand side, click on that, and here I can say specifically what I want to do with this, or I can come down here to where it says auto rewrite, and it will rewrite this in a couple different ways for me to take a look at. So notice it offers me 3 different rewrites here just by clicking on auto rewrite. So I can toggle through again, just like I did with the entire document before. I could do it just on a selected range of the document. So if I didn't like the way that it was worded, or if I didn't like some of the way it was structured, I can have it rewrite it for me. Again, I get the options of replacing or inserting it below. Again, replacing it will remove the highlighted text and replace it with the text inside the box. Insert below will keep the original and put the new text that Copilot generated directly underneath it. I can also ask for some follow-up things here as well. So there's a couple different ways that I can do things when I'm working with these particular files. I can also use Copilot to help me with transcript condensing. Not only can Word condense your text, Copilot Chat can summarize and help you generate new text, for example, from a website. So everything we've done so far, we've done in Microsoft Word. But if you're using Microsoft Edge as your browser, and I'm at the Microsoft 365 homepage here again, which defaults to the chat area. If you're using Edge as your browser, so this is the application that I'm using to surf the internet. So right now I'm using Edge. If you're using Chrome or Firefox, or if you're using Safari, like if you're on an Apple device, you won't see the option that I'm going to show you next. That is the Copilot chat pane. Now we already talked about the Copilot, the main chat area here. But if I go to a website, let's say that I'm going to go to let's say that I need to introduce the dean at a function, and I'm going to share the profile page for the dean, and I want to condense her most important achievements in a 2-paragraph introduction. So to do so, I'm going to open up the chat pane here on the right side. I can do it either from here, from the Microsoft 365 environment here. I would have to be on the web tab if I do so, and I can enter that in here. Or if you're using Microsoft Edge as your browser, on any web page, you can open up the Copilot pane. Like again, as I mentioned, this is only available in the Edge browser. Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Brave, those browsers don't support this kind of sidebar here. So notice when it opens up here, it has that same Work and Web tab at the top. The Work tab is if you have a Copilot license, that premium license with your subscription. In addition to your Microsoft 365 license, it allows you to ask questions about things going on within your environment. If you don't have the Work tab, you're just going to have just the pane here. There won't be any web tab here. The web tab just looks at external content, things outside of your Microsoft 365 environment. So in here, I'm going to ask Copilot. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. Let me try that one more time. I'm going to put that prompt that I had mentioned in there ago about creating that 2-paragraph introduction. And I'm going to reference the URL for that page in here. So I'm going to say I need to introduce the dean at a function. Her information is here. I've pasted the URL for that, her profile. And I'm going to say, please condense her most important achievements into a 2-paragraph introduction. So I'm going to submit this request here, and it's going to go online, go to that page, and find that information. Okay. Well, I tried this before class and it worked. Now it's not looking. Let's see here. It looks like I wasn't able to access the link provided. Let me try that one more time. Actually, it should do it from the pane, but I'm going to try it here in the main chat window too as well. I want to be on the web tab. I'm going to put that in here because it's accessing an external web page. Even if it was, like I should point out, I am not in the Miami University or University of Miami environment. I'm in a demonstration environment. But even so, this page is outside of your Microsoft 365 environment. So if you do have the Work in Web tab, you're going to want to be on the Web tab here. Let me ask this again here and see if it's able to pull up the page. It should be able to do this. All right, here it goes. So here it was able to pull. I don't know why I wasn't able to pull it in the pane. The pane should work exactly the same way as the sidebar here. I might have to do a clearing my cache and cookies here. But notice here is the 2-paragraph introduction that I can use to introduce Dean April. So it's listed here, all information with the introduction. And notice here it's giving me the source of the information, which is the source I put into the URL I posted into the chat where I'm asking Copilot to do that for me. Notice here it gives me some other options down here at the bottom. Make it more formal and concise. Add a quote from Dean April. Include her recent projects. Or I could just say, I could just click here where it says make it short, make it formal and concise. So I'm going to make it a little bit shorter, concise, meaning making it a little bit shorter. I'm going to submit that request and do it that way. So that's a little bit shorter than the original one that we had before. I could ask it another way. So I could go in and say, I'm going to say focus on her work involving securities law. So maybe I want to include that as well. I can add that as kind of follow-up. So as I'm going through, I can use Copilot to help me refine what it is that it's writing for me by adding additional information. So I'm going to have it rewrite it again. And notice now it's saying, okay, here's a formal and concise 2-paragraph introduction for Dean April with emphasis on her work in securities law. So now it's rewritten it with that additional context that I've added. So the more context you give Copilot, the better it is going to be at understanding what it is you're looking to create or what text you're trying to create here. And if you don't get exactly what you need, you can refine it by asking follow-up questions to regenerate that summary for you. If you have a document and you need to generate a headline or abstract or other summary information from it, Copilot can help with that as well. Copilot automatically generates when you open up a document in Word. So I'm going to go over into this document that we were in earlier here. And notice when I opened up the document, whenever you open up a document and you have a Copilot license in your account, you'll get a summary up here at the top. So if I click on this View More button, it'll expand here and give me a complete summary of this document here. Now, notice here that I can, if I want to change the type of summary that I have, down in the lower left-hand corner, there's a drop-down here. There's standard, there's also brief, and there's also detailed. So I can switch between those different ones. So I'm going to switch to the brief one. This one should be a little bit shorter. So you can see this is a very brief one. So this may be, let's say I'm going to send this off to somebody as an attachment or a link to the file. I can copy this, and notice here next to where it says brief, there's this little copy option here. I can copy that and paste it into an email. Let's say if I'm going to include this document as an email that kind of summarizes what that is. So this allows me to change the way that I'm seeing it. So if I go to the detailed one, we would expect this one to be a lot longer. giving us more information about the document in a different way. So I can use this to summarize without even having to open up Copilot pane here on the right-hand side and ask it to do a summary for me. So you can see here is the full revision of that summary in a different way. If this summary is getting in the way, or I don't want to see it anymore, here in the upper right-hand corner, I can click on this little caret icon, and that will allow me to minimize that summary pane so it's out of my way so I can focus on the document. So I can also ask Copilot to kind of generate that headline for me as well. If I want to, let's say I want to generate a headline and summary of this for use on a news site. So I can do that in the pane on the right-hand side. Anything that I want to ask about the document or information of what it contains or a summary or suggestions, I can use here the Copilot pane on the right-hand side and ask questions. Notice my conversation that I had earlier with Copilot is still here. I can scroll back and see those other things that were in there, but I can ask Copilot to here generate a headline and summary of this for use on a news site. So it will do so. It's going to scan the entire document, the wealthy and their influence, a glimpse into medieval society, and then here is a summary of the document that I could use from here. So that I could use this on a news site if I want to, if I'm going to be publishing this or something, draw attention to this document, I can do that. I can also have it help me with social media copy. If you want to generate a summary for social media, Copilot can do that as well. So let's say I'm going to ask Copilot here to generate a summary for use on social media. It can't be more than 240 characters long. So I'm going to submit that as a request in the Copilot pane here on the right-hand side. It's going to go through and take a look at this document again, and it's going to generate that summary for me here. So here it is, Medieval Insights, an old French text reveals the privileged status of the wealthy who enjoyed exclusive access, and so on. Notice that that is less than 250 words, and I can do so. Notice that down here at the bottom, some of the suggestions it gives me. Make it more engaging for Twitter. Add questions to boost interaction. So let's say I want to use it for Twitter. I can click on this here, and it's going to rewrite it to make it more engaging for Twitter. It even puts some hashtags in here and some little emojis. So when I paste this into Twitter, it'll have all of that content in there. Or let's say that I want to tailor this for LinkedIn. So I can follow up underneath it and say, please tailor for LinkedIn. And it'll rewrite it again, built for LinkedIn. And it may be very similar to what it did before, but you can ask it for different formats or different, make it more energetic, make it more formal, make it more casual, depending on the audience that you're trying to reach. Now, one of the other tools that's built in is plagiarism detection. In addition to the check that you can do with the editor, which we saw earlier when we went up to the editor button here and we came down to the similarity area, we can also do detection through the web tab. We can specify files that we wanted to take a look at. So I'm going to do that from the M365, the main interaction area here, from the M365 homepage. Now, I'm going to, my original request here was an introduction to the dean, and I wanted that, and now I'm going to be asking something different. I'm going to do some plagiarism detection here. So it's not involving the introduction, so I'm changing topics, so I want to make sure that Copilot knows that I'm switching topics. I could do that by clicking on the new chat button up here at the top, and that opens up a new chat interaction. Now, my previous chat interactions were over here under the conversations area, so if I want to go back and see them, I can. But in here, I want to ask Copilot a question. I want to check for plagiarism on that option. Now, I can do this whether or not I have the Work tab or the Web tab, but I'm going to focus on the Web tab because I want to look at resources outside of my organization. Remember, if I'm in the Work tab, that's resources inside my organization. So in here, I'm going to ask Copilot, I want to check, and if I want to reference a particular file, I can use a / key. And notice it's going to list the most recent documents that I've used here. So these are the two that I've opened up recently. But if I don't see it here, I can also search for it as well. I can type in here as long as it's saved somewhere inside of Microsoft 365, like in my OneDrive or in a Team or in a SharePoint online document library. If for some reason it's not saved in one of those locations, I can use this upload button here and upload the file to my device. When I upload it, it's going to save it in my OneDrive. So whenever I'm referencing files that I want Copilot to take a look at, it does have to be a file that's stored in an online location. And if it just happens to be a local file, I can upload it here. It'll reference that file, but it'll be referenced in as it uploads it into my OneDrive. So here's the file. I want to check this file here, and notice it kind of attaches the link up here at the top. I want to check this file for plagiarism. So I'm going to finish my request here, and I'm going to submit this. Now it's going to go and look online for resources. It says I've extracted content from your file to check for plagiarism. I'll check for search matches. Compare your text to existing sources to identify any potential overlap or unoriginal content, and report any sections that appear to be copied or closely paraphrased from published sources. Let me begin by searching for distinctive sentences and paragraphs from your document. So it's going through my document right now and pulling out those kind of specific things that it's going to be looking for here as it's going through, and it's finding that information, and now it should go through and give me an analysis here. So here is the plagiarism check. It found some direct matches and paraphrasing. So in the opening section, it begins with this. This passage appears verbatim in several online sources, including 123help.me and eNotes, which cite Schickman's work and near identical wording. So it's kind of going through all of this information and telling me where it's finding this information and things that are potential sources of plagiarism. So it's finding this on an online research site. Now, note this is not potentially proof of plagiarism. In this case, apparently somebody uploaded this partial thesis to a site. I know because I know the author, and they upload and they did not plagiarize this work, but this was it looks like somebody had uploaded this to a site, and that's why it's finding that match. So don't just always assume because there's a match that it's automatically plagiarism. You are going to want to read through the information and make sure that the detail is correct and in the context of it. Notice if I come down here to the bottom, if I come down here to sources and I open that up, this is showing me sources where it found this information from. So it scanned through and went through all of these sites here to find information where it to see if any of it is a 100% match on some of the content that's within there. Notice here it does say it gives authors here to help rewrite the plagiarized sections or show how to cite these sources properly if it is if you are going to be citing it in your document and it's not already done, not already taken care of. We can also use Copilot to detect the use of AI to write a document. It's a less exact science, but Copilot can search for patterns that are likely to indicate it. So note that with this and plagiarism, you can check multiple files at once. You're going to open up, again, a new chat here. And I'm going to ask Copilot to reference 2 different documents and check for the use of AI to write them. So I'm going to ask Copilot to check. And I'm going to reference that file. I'm going to use a / and reference that Gawain file again. and I'm going to put I'm going to reference another file, this ethics of artificial intelligence here. So I'm referencing both of these files. I got them both open here. We've been using these kind of throughout here. And I want to look to see if for AI use, for the use of AI to write them. I want to see if AI was used to write these particular documents. So I'm going to submit that. It's going to analyze both of these documents, and it's going to tell me what are some of the indicators of AI use. So here's the first one, the ethics of artificial intelligence. It's saying indicators of AI use. The writing is highly structured with clear headings, bullet points, and logical progression. So it's telling me these are some of the things that make it potentially AI. There's no personal anecdotes. The context covers broad, well-known topics on AI ethics. The faculty names and program details are plausible but could be fabricated or generalized, as common with AI samples. Here's signs of human authorship. There is no explicit reference to AI writing tools or generative processes. The document reads like a program, overview, or academic brochure, which could be written by either a human or AI. So this is telling me here, it's giving me a conclusion on this. This document could plausibly have been written by AI, especially given its generic structure and lack of personal or original content. However, there's no direct evidence, such as disclaimer, metadata, or explicit mention that confirms AI authorship. I will say that this document was used to, AI was used to create this first document. This one here was not. It says indicators that there were AI usage here. The writing is academic with citations, references, and detailed analysis. Style is consistent, formal, and well organized, but not overly polished or generic. There are direct quotations, footnotes, and references. So those are things that are indicators. Then there's about just as many indicators of human authorship, and then it gives me a conclusion here. The document is much more likely to be human written. The depth of analysis or use of citations and scholarly engagement are not typical of AI-generated content unless the AI is specifically tasked with mimicking academic writing and provided with source materials. So this is telling me that this one is probably human written and not AI written. And I know for a fact that this is actually somebody wrote this. It's a colleague of mine who went to school for this and took one of her papers and we're using it as an example here for what AI and Copilot can do um, with an actually human written document. Now, I get the overall assessment here. It's telling me, what it thinks overall. And I can follow up with this further if I want to here. I want to ask Copilot to provide a deeper forensic of both documents, forensic analysis of both documents. So I'm going to ask Copilot to do that for me. And it's going to dig a little bit deeper into this now. So this will give me a detailed information about why it makes its decisions as well as its conclusions. And if you have a specific list of items you wanted to analyze or specific scenarios you wanted to analyze, it can do that too. Just make sure that you include it in your request for Copilot. So it's going through here giving me linguistics analysis, structural analysis, contextual analysis, forensic conclusion. It does that for both documents. We can also ask Copilot to use Wikipedia signs of AI writing analysis to check the texts itself. So we don't even have to give it the URL. If you want that URL, I can give it to you, but it knows what that is and it'll go to and find that information. So here's a forensic analysis of both documents using Wikipedia signs of AI writing as a framework according to Wikipedia's common signs of AI generated text. So it's kind of listing them out here, and now it's using that to analyze both of those documents that I've listed before. But the last thing I want to talk about here is cross-platform editing. Copilot can analyze and process a wide variety of files. So I'm going to open up a website here. Give me just a second to copy the hyperlink. I'm going to open it up in this new tab here. And I want to talk about how Copilot can analyze and process a wide variety of files. I'm going to put this link in here just in case you want to reference this. I'm putting it into the Q&A as an announcement. These are the file formats that are currently supported by Microsoft 365 Copilot. So most of the Office types of files like Word, DOCX, PowerPoint, PPTX, Excel, SLSX, but it also supports like PDFs and web pages. You'll see there's all different kinds of JSON, XML, YML, config, UTF-8, log files, loop files, fluid files. So all of these are different types of files that it will recognize and can be applied to Microsoft 365 Copilot chat, pages, notebooks, and help with creating content in there. If you can save it to text, PDF, or the web, Copilot can most likely work with it. I can also use Copilot to preview, for example, content. I'm going to try the Copilot pane here one more time with another URL that I got here. I'm going to open up the URL here. And notice it opens up this PDF here. It's actually an article that was published in repository.law.miami.edu. So it's in here. And I can ask Copilot questions about this particular article, this review. Again, I'm going to open up the Copilot pane here on the right-hand side. And I'm going to ask another question here. I'm going to open up a new chat because I'm asking a new question, not on what I asked about earlier. So I'm going to click on the new chat button here at the top. And I'm going to ask Copilot to analyze this. I'm going to say, summarize the main points on this page. So I've got the page open here. And hopefully this works this time. I don't know why it didn't work before, but here we go. Let's ask Copilot to summarize this for me. I'm going to submit the request. And hopefully it should be able to analyze. Okay, so searching your page for content to your answer. So here it is. Here's a summary of the main points from the article titled, and then here's the name of it. So we can know it's finding that file here. So it's going through and it's analyzing this and it's giving me the key themes and arguments. It's breaking it down into different sections that are within here, and then it offers me a conclusion at the end. And just like anything else that I've been doing with Copilot, when I'm using the chat and I'm asking questions or I'm asking it to create something for me, I can refine it further by asking these follow-up questions. For example, here I can say, give me a shorter summary. So maybe I want to email this summary to somebody who's, I'm helping them do some research on this. And here's a shorter, in this case, 1-paragraph summary. Now, anytime I'm working with chat, notice I've got this little copy button here. I can copy the response that Copilot gives me, and I can paste that anywhere that I want to take that text and paste it. It will bring in the complete text here, which includes, here's a short summary of the article. Would you like a one-sentence version of or a visual summary next? It copies all of that, and I can paste that anywhere that I want. Word document, into an email, into a Teams chat, or maybe even Microsoft OneNote or something like that. So some of the options it gives you for follow-up, you could add key statistics from an article, create a version of a presentation slide, or even make it more concise if I want to. Notice it gives me some different options of things that I want to do with this response from Copilot. All right, let's review everything that we talked about today. We talked about understanding the current state of Grammarly, how the current licenses are not going to be renewed, but we saw a lot of the benefits that Copilot offers in addition to just spelling and grammar checking. We also get the plagiarism detection and help with rewriting and creating new content. So we saw how we can use Copilot to perform a lot of the same tasks that we were doing in Grammarly as a replacement for that. Now, if you have additional questions or need further assistance or technical support, you can contact the IT service desk. I am going to paste this URL into the Q&A. So if you wouldn't mind, before exiting out, you can click on that link or just copy and paste that and save it in your browser. The other thing that I wanted to discuss is if you had any questions. So if you have questions, those can be placed into the Q&A. Of course, the Q&A can be accessed from the meeting toolbar by going to the icon. It looks like two conversation bubbles with a question mark inside of it. If you don't see it on the toolbar, you can click on the More option, and the Q&A may show up in there as well. While we're waiting to see if any questions come in, I did want to share that feedback survey link that I shared at the beginning of the class, or I mentioned at the beginning of the class. You'll see that pasted, or see that in the chat here, or the Q&A rather, in just a moment. I've pasted it in there. If you wouldn't mind, before exiting out, just clicking on that survey link for me. That'll open up a short online survey with 10 questions. The first 6 are just asking you to rank between 1 through 10. The last 4 allow you to leave some comments if you'd like. So I'll stick around here for the next few minutes, see if we get any questions that come in. If we don't, we can end our session a few minutes early here. I know we're just about to the top of the hour. We got about 3 minutes left here, but I'm willing to stick around to answer any questions that you may have. Just feel free to throw those in the chat. If you don't have any questions, I want to thank you for joining me today. Please make sure you click on that survey link before you exit. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. Take care now. All right, not seeing any questions that came in, so I'm going to go ahead and end our session. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today.